O6 plus and liberated the 6 molecules of oxygen. So that's why here, according to means Neil and Robert Hill, Van Neil and Robert Hill, that is oxygen is liberated during the photosynthesis come from the water and are not from the carbon dioxide. So easy explain that one. Only the liberated oxygen only derived from the water molecule only, not from the carbon dioxide molecule. So this is the equation here. So after that correction means 6 gives rise to C6H12O6 plus 6O2 and 6H2O, which is the final equilibrium equation of the photosynthesis. Some photosynthetic bacteria use the hydrogen donor other than the water. That is, the photosynthesis is also defined as anaerobic process of manufacture of organic compound. So inside the chlorophylls containing cells from carbon dioxide and hydrogen donor with the help of radiant energy. So this one is the equation is final equation means 6CO2 means and plus 12H2O gives rise to C6H12O6 plus 6 molecules of oxygen plus 6 molecules of H2O. So in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, so during the chlorophyll and sunlight only they are doing the photosynthesis. So coming to the significance of photosynthesis. Okay. So significance of photosynthesis, very clear, right? So what is the significance of photosynthesis? Means here, the first one is this: photosynthesis is the most important natural process which sustain life on the earth. So without this photosynthesis, any human beings and anybody cannot survive. Means without food, we cannot survive any organism also. So the process of photosynthesis is unique to green and other autotrophic plants. It synthesizes the organic food from inorganic raw material. All the animals and heterotrophic plants depend on the green plants for their organic food. Therefore, the green plants called as the producers, while other organisms we call as the consumers. Means the only green plants only to produce the that is the carbohydrates. Okay, so green plants only to produce the carbohydrates. So that's why here. So that's why yeah, we call as a producers. The remaining we call as a consumers. The photosynthesis, which is convert the radiant or solar energy into chemical energy, the same which gets the storage in the organic food as bonds between the different atoms. The photosynthesis products provide energy to all organisms to carry out their life activities. So that is the means all organisms they are to combined with the sunlight. The coal and petroleum, other some natural gases are fossil fuels which have been produced by the application of heat and compression on uh, the past plants and animal parts, which is in the deeper layer of the earth. This is also importance of the energy. So all the useful plants products are derived from the process of photosynthesis only. Example: timber, rubber, resins, and some drugs. oils also. So these also obtained from the photosynthesis. It is the only known method by which is the oxygen is added to the atmosphere to compensate for the oxygen being used in the respiration of organisms and burning of organic fuel. The oxygen is important in efficient utilization and complete breakdown of respiratory substrate and formation of ozone in stratosphere that the filters out to stop the harmful UV radiation in reaching the earth. So the photosynthesis decreases the concentration of carbon dioxide which is being the added to the atmosphere by the respiration of organisms and burning of organic fuel. Higher concentration of carbon dioxide is poisonous to living beings. The productivity of agricultural crops depends upon the rate of photosynthesis. Therefore, the scientists are busy in genetically manipulating the crops. So, magnitude of photosynthesis only 2% of light energy is falling on the earth, which is utilized by photosynthetic organism. The total carbon dioxide available to the plants for photosynthesis that is around 11.2 into 10 to the power of 14 tons. So about 17 to 80 billion tons of carbon dioxide are fixed annually by the terrestrial and aquatic autotrophs. It is produced near around 1700 million tons of dry organic matter. So out of these, 10 percentage of dry matter is produced by land plants and the rest by ocean. This is an essential by that is Rabinovich, and according to these people, they are to explain. So the functional relationship between the light and dark reactions. So light and dark reactions. So during the photosynthesis, water is oxidized and carbon dioxide is reduced. But the where in the overall process, the light energy intervenes to drive the reaction. So that photosynthesis consists of a combination of light requiring reactions. So it is now clear that the all the reaction for the incorporation of carbon dioxide into organic material can occur in the dark phase. So the reaction depending on the light, that is the light reaction, those are in the radiant energy is converted to chemical energy. Okay. So in here two phases are there. Dark phase and another one is the light. Two phases are there. So that is the dark phase. Okay. Light phase and dark phases are there. So according to Arnon, the functional relationship between the light and dark reaction can be established by the examining the requirement of dark reactions. So here during the dark reaction is comprised the complex cycle of enzyme mediate reaction, that is the Kelvin cycle. We know that one. We are explain after this Kelvin cycle. which is the catalyze the reduction of carbon dioxide into sugars, means carbohydrates. So this cycle is require reducing powder into the in the form of reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, that is the NADPH, and chemical energy, that is the adenosine triphosphate, in the form of the ATP. The reduced NADPH and ATP are produced by the light reactions. It is thus possible to divide a description of photosynthesis into those reactions associated with the Kelvin cycle and the fixation of carbon dioxide, and those reactions, the capture of light by pigments, electron transport, and photophosphorylation, which is directly derived by the sunlight. So here sites of photosynthesis, what are the sites are there? Here in the chloroplast. See here, I show to the diagram. So I share it. So this is chloroplast. Okay. So this one, see here. So in the means in the green plants constitute the photosynthetic aperture and act site of the photosynthesis. So chloroplast of higher plants are discoid or ellipsoidal in the shape, measuring around 4 to 6 microns in length and 1 to millimicron thickness. It is the double layer in organelles of eukaryotic plants. The thickness of these two membranes is including the periplastidial space, which is approximately 300 angstroms. The ground substances, the chloroplast is filled with the hydrophilic matrix that is known as the stroma. So it is containing the DNAs, RNAs, and plastoribosomes, which is 70s ribosome, and the some enzymes which are involved in the carbon dioxide, means carbon dioxide assimilation process. Some proteins also present, starch pigments and osmophilic droplets, some vitamins and minerals also, some trace elements also there. Okay, the photosynthetic pigments occur in the thylakoid membrane. So aggregation of thylakoids to form the stalk of kind-like structures, which is known as the grana. So kind-like structures are there. They are the granum. The consist near around 20 to 30. So here 20 to 30 of thylakoids are there. So each thylakoid encloses a space known as the asclerotes. The end of disc-shaped thylakoid is called as a margin, and the area with the thylakoid's membrane appears together to call as a partition. Some the grana lamella are connected with the thylakoids of other grana by stroma lamella or fat membranes. The thylakoid membrane or stroma lamella both are composed of lipid and proteins. In the photosynthetic prokaryotes, that is the blue green algae, the chloroplast is absent. So due to the absence of chloroplast, here chromatophores are present in the photosynthetic bacteria. They are involved in the photosynthesis. So now coming to the mechanism of photosynthesis. What is the mechanism of photosynthesis? Here the photosynthesis is the oxidation reduction process in which the water is oxide and carbon dioxide is reduced to form of the carbohydrates. So oxygen is oxide, water is oxidized and carbon dioxide is reduced. So here that's why oxidized and reduction process is there in the photosynthesis. So the Blackman in 1905 the pointed out that the process of photosynthesis consists of two phases are there. Mm, So that is the light reaction or the light phase. That is the light depend on the that is the photochemical phase. Another phase is the dark phase or a dark reaction. That is the biochemical phase. So during the light reaction, I mean, the mm. So so here two phases are there. That is the dark phase and light phase according to Blackman. Mm, okay. The during the that is the light reaction, oxygen is evolved and assimilatory power are formed means ATP or NADPH form. During the dark reaction, these assimilatory power utilized to synthesize the glucose. That is it. So that is the oxenic photosynthesis takes place in the green eukaryotic plants and cyanophyll bacteria. That is the carbon dioxide plus H2O to form the carbohydrates. That is C6H12O12 and so and the oxygen oxygenic photosynthesis takes place in the photosynthetic bacteria. The photosynthetic pigments initiate the process of photosynthesis. So some pigments the categorized into three types of pigments are involved in so chlor so the role is also some The bacteria chlorophyll A and B and G. These chlorobium chlorophyll, that is the bacteria viridin. These are involved in the photosynthesis. The structure of chlorophyll was first discovered by the um, Wallstatter and Stoll in 1912. The chemically, the chlorophyll molecule consists of a porphyrin head and phytal tail. The porphyrin consists of tetrapyrrole rings and central core of magnesium. Phytal tail is the side chain of hydrocarbon. It is attached to one of the pyrophal rings. This chain helps to chlorophyll molecule to attach with the thylakoid membrane. So, out of these various types of chlorophyll A and B are the most important for the photosynthetic process in the all the green plants. Though chlorophyll plants except to photosynthetic bacteria means chlorophyll A is present on green plants except. So this is it is the designated pigment. Nice. Chlorophyll, carotenoids, and phycobilins. So these three categories are there. So another one is the second category of the chloropigments is the carotenoids. Okay, these are the uh, range of pigments which is embedded in the thylakoid membrane. But there the amount is very less in number. So these are the insoluble in water and precursor of vitamin A. So these are the two types of carotenoids are there, carotins and xanthophylls. So carotins are the pure hydrocarbon, hmm, red or orange in color, and their chemical formula is the C40 and H56, C40, H56. Some of the common carotenoids are the alpha, beta, and gamma carotins are there. So, which is the precursors of vitamin A. So, another is the xanthophylls are yellow colored oxygen containing carotenoids, which is most abundant in nature. The ratio of xanthophylls to keratin in nature here 2 is to 1 in younger leaves. The most common xanthophyll in green plants is the lutein. Lutein is there and is responsible for yellow color in the autumn foliage. Both keratins and xanthophylls are the soluble in organic solvents like chloroform, ethyl ether, and ethers, esters like that. So third pigments that is the phycobilins. These are the water soluble pigments are abundant the present in the algae and found in the higher plants. These are two important type of phycobilins are there, phycoerythrin and phycocyanin. Phycoerythrin is in red color and phycocyanin in blue color. So like chlorophyll, these pigments are open tetrapyrrole but do not contain magnesium and phytal chain. So nature of light. Actually coming to the nature of light. So the source of light for the photosynthesis is the sunlight. Already discussed that one. The sunlight is the form the energy that travels as a stream of tiny particles. So this is the discrete the particle present in the light are called as the photons. So they are carry the energy and they carry contain the photon in terms of quantum, the formation of the quantums. So these photons are traveling. They carry the energy and the carry contain the photon is termed as the quantum. You know that one. So the shorter that the wavelength and the greater is the energy present in the quantum. Depending upon the wavelength, the electromagnetic spectrum comprise the cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, UV rays, visible spectrum, infrared rays, and electric rays. These are the visible spectrum ranges from 390 nanometer to 760 nanometers. So the plant life is affected by the wavelength ranging from 300 to 780. The visible spectrum can be resolved into light of different colors, that is the violet, blue, or indigo. These are the ray of sunlight is falling upon the leaf behaves in the three different ways. The part of it is reflected, a part and transmitted, and a part observed. The leaves observe near about 83% of light, transmitted 5 and reflect 12%. From the total absorption, only 4% of light observed by the chlorophyll, and the remaining there are evaporate. In a drop of water having the numerous aerobic bacteria, that algae was exposed into narrow stream of light passing through the prism. The bacteria, after a few minutes, aggregated more in the region which is exposed to blue and red wavelength. It is confirmed that maximum oxygen evaluation takes place in these regions due to the high photosynthetic activity. So absorption spectrum. So all the photosynthetic organisms containing one or more organic pigments, which is capable of observing visible radiation, which is initiate the photochemical reactions of photosynthesis. When the amount of light observed by the pigment in which is plotted as a function of wavelength. In the various forms pigments to pigment by passing the light of specific wavelength through the solution of observing and measuring the fraction of observed. We obtain the absorption spectrum of substances. Each type of molecule have a characteristic absorption spectrum, and measuring the absorption spectrum can be useful in identify some unknown substances isolated from the plant or animal. So coming to the action spectrum. So what is the action spectrum means? It is the present the extent of response of different wavelength of light. So visible radiation which will initiate the photochemical reaction of photosynthesis. When the amount of light absorption by these plot a function of, so when the amount of light absorption by a pigment is plotted and found in the wavelength of the spectrum. The varies from wavelength through the solution of to absence and measuring the fraction observed. We obtain the absorption spectrum of that substances. Each type of molecule have a characteristic absorption spectrum, and measuring the absorption spectrum can be useful in the identify some unknown options isolated the plant and animals. So action spectrum set of response to different wavelengths of light in the photosynthesis. It can also be defined as the measuring of process of photosynthesis. When a light of different wavelength is supplied, but the intensity is the same for the photochemical reactions involved in the single pigments, the action spectrum has the same general shape is the absorption spectrum of the pigment, otherwise both are the quite some distance are there. So next one is the most important quantum yield, the solar light. So solar light come to Earth in the form of the small patches that packets of energy that is known as photons. The energy associated with each photon is called as a quantum. So this is required for the solar light by the plant is measured in the terms of number of photons or quantum. The number of photons or quanta is required by the plant or leaf to release of oxygen during the photosynthesis. Has been observed in the most quantum requirements. That is the 8 photons or 8 quantums are required to release the one molecule of oxygen. The number of oxygen molecule released per photon of light during the photosynthesis is called as the quantum yield. If the quantum is required, it is in the photosynthesis. So photosynthetic unit or quantum zones. It is the defined as the smallest group of collaborating pigment or molecule which are necessary to affect the photochemical act, that is the absorption and migration of light quantum to trapping the center where it is promote this release of an electron. So Emerson and Arnold in 1932, on the basis of certain experiment which is assumed and about 250 chlorophyll molecule are the required to fix one molecule of carbon dioxide in the photosynthesis. So this number of chlorophyll molecule was called as a chlorophyll unit. The name was subsequently changed as a photosynthetic unit. Laterally, which is designated as the quantum zone, which is named by given by the Park and Begins. So that is name is the quantazome. Is nothing but photosynthetic units. So Parkins and Begins. So the size of quantosomes is about 18 into 6. And found in the membrane of target. 200 to 40 chlorophyll and 48 carotenoids, 6 phenone and some 141 diglyceride, monochlorides, 46 phospholipids, steroids and sterols, some molecules are there. So that is the capital P is the pigment, that is the 680 to 700, which is donated wavelength. So that is the photo
means the other accessory pigments and the chlorophyll molecule.
or the antenna molecule. So it is the capture the solar energy and transfer it to the reaction center by the resonance transfer or inductive resonance. So photoluminescence. So photoluminescence, that is the two type of phenomenon of radiation of observed energy, that is fluorescence and photophosphorescence. Fluorescence and phosphorescence. So this the normal state of molecule is called as a ground state. There is a singlet state. Okay. Right here is here. So okay, is right. Okay. Right. So the fluorescence and fluorescence. So fluorescence and phosphorescence. So phosphorescence, that is these two types are there. In the fluorescence, here when the electron molecule observe a quantum of light, so from the first the signalet state excites the electron many return to the ground state, either they losing its extra energy in the form of head or by losing the energy in the form of radiant energy. The latter process called as fluorescence. So the substance which is emit back and observe the radiation is called fluorescent substances. All photosynthetic pigments have the property of fluorescence. So the excited molecule also lost its electronic excitation energy by the internal conversion and comes to another excited state called as a triplet state. From this triplet state, excited molecule may return to ground state in the free way by losing its extra energy in the form of heat, by losing the extra energy in the form of radiant energy is called as a phosphorescence. 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 The electron carrying the extra energy may be extracted from the molecule and consumed in some other chemical reactions, and a fresh normal electron return to the molecule. This mechanism happens in the chlorophyll A. Okay. So another topic is the immersion red drop or immersion effect, that we call as the immersion effect. So in the immersion in 1943, while they determined the quantum yield of photosynthesis in the chlorophyll A by using the monochromatic light of different wavelengths, which is the uh, that is the wavelength not the sharp discrete the quantum yield to wavelength greater than the 80 milli microamps.
So this decrease in the quantum yield took the place for the far right for the spectrum. That is the survey shows the quantum yield drops dramatically the region above this 80. This decline in the photosynthesis is called as a red drop or immersion effect. So the immersion, as his co-workers that are there, they are the red light in the chlorophyll. Behind the 680 nanometer could be made fully efficient if it is supplemented with the light of short wavelength. The quantum yield from these two combined beams was found to be greater than the effect of both beams when used in the separate. This enhancement of photosynthesis is called as the immersion in effect. So I show to that immersion effect. See here. Okay, this one is the immersion effect curve.